What's up, everyone? Welcome to the first live stream that we've had in a while. Just going to make sure audio is all working here. I feel like I'm talking into the void a little bit. Yeah, say hi in the chat if you're watching. Let me know where you're watching from. I love to know where people are dropping in from. I'm located in beautiful Edmonton, Alberta, Canada, coming to you live from my beautiful little home studio here. Hi, Frederick. Great to see you. I hazard a guess by your last name that you're somewhere in Europe. Thanks for dropping by. Yep, Germany. Amazing. Love the Germans. I've had a few great calls with some German producers and mix engineers, and part German myself, so good to see you in here. So today, we're going to have a little look at Ableton. We're going to kind of go over some basics of, getting set up to use Ableton alongside Sessionwire, so you can have your own virtual studio and collaborate with people. If you have any questions, drop them in the chat. I'll address them. It's kind of the cool thing about this format is that you can ask questions in real time, and they're going to live forever on YouTube, so you can revisit and check out the answers for some things that may be a little bit puzzling with how to use Sessionwire. So let's have a look here. We're just going to flip to this. I'm going to make my camera a little bit bigger. Not that you want to see too much of my face, but so here we go. I've got Ableton Live 12 here. So a lot of these principles are the same, regardless of the version of Ableton that you're using. The only thing that I find a little bit handy in version 12 is this new filter system for plugins and things like that. But we'll dig into that if we need to. It's pretty kind of straightforward filter system for plugins. So first of all, we're going to have a look at some settings in here. We're going to go to the plugins tab first, and we'll come back to audio settings. But if we go to plugins, we can see that I've got the audio units plugins enabled, and I've also got VST3 plugin system folders enabled. So for Mac users, you can use either audio units or VST3 plugins or both. It doesn't really matter. We at Sessionwire, our plugins come in VST3 audio units and AAX format. So it's totally up to you on a Mac system if you want to use VST3 or audio units. On a Windows machine, you'll just have access to the VST3 plugins in Ableton. So just make sure that you head into your plugins folder, and if you've got a custom VST3 plugin folder, make sure that you set that up right here so that you can access the plugins. We'll head back to the audio tab here, and we've had, some people kind of under the impression that you need to change your audio input and output devices to be something other than your audio interface, and that is not the case. You're going to select your audio interface as both the input and output device as normal. There's no need to change any kind of routing in here. Of course, you can make sure that your inputs are all activated. Make sure that your outputs, whatever you need, are all activated as well. Just go in here. You can also label your outputs as, main monitors or something like that. It's totally up to you. Kind of a cool way of managing your routing. Sample rate can be whatever you would like it to be. Ideally, 44.1, 48, or 92 kilohertz. 96. I knew I had it wrong. Our plugins are meant to work at any sample rate, but obviously, standard sample rates are kind of your best bet when working anyways. So there you go. Keep your settings the same. No need to change anything in here. Again, on Windows, you'll have the option to select an ASIO driver. Just use whatever you normally use. There's no need to change any settings there. Look at that. We've got some signal here. I'm going to turn that off so it's not monitoring. In here, we've got a bunch of plugins, and I'm going to kind of walk through them in the simplest order first. So we'll say that I've got this session here that I'm working on, and I want somebody to hear it on the other side of a Sessionwire connection in my Sessionwire virtual studio. We'll flip over to Sessionwire and grab a look here. This is what my studio looks like. I'll wait for this to do its thing. The network might be a little slow with my streaming out here. So this is my Sessionwire Studio. When you sign up for a Sessionwire account, you have your own virtual studio. You see, this is my Sessionwire Studio. So I can have, on my plan right now, up to 50 people in this studio with me listening to what I'm working on. I can listen to what they're working on, regardless of whether or not they have a Sessionwire account or not, as long as they have some way of routing the audio from their DAW or application into Sessionwire, which is usually via our plugins. We have down here a couple of different settings. We have this little microphone icon that is for the talkback stream. And this we set up exactly like we would a Zoom call. Set up the audio interface or a webcam or whatever as the microphone. In my case, I have a microphone plugged into channel 1 of my audio interface, or technically routed to channel 1 of my audio interface. So that is what I'm using for my microphone, and I can see that my talkback meter is moving, which means I'm successfully getting signal into my Sessionwire Studio. We have our little camera here. We can change cameras. You can use NDI cameras. You can use, I think Dante cameras will work too. Any kind of camera or virtual camera that will show up as a device in a list, an enumerated list of the devices, you can use. OBS virtual camera as well. And if you're on a Wi-Fi connection, you can use your phone as a wireless webcam if you're on a newer version of Mac OS. And just beside that, we have this additional drop-down menu. Now, this is the important part. This is what makes the Sessionwire Studio unique and special, is this is the HQ audio source and destination selection. So on my machine, if I want people to hear what's coming out of my DAW, I'm going to select Sessionwire Send plugin. So when I put the Send plugin in the DAW, it's going to stream audio in. And typically for the HQ audio destination, I'm going to set it to be sound ID reference, which is how I'm listening to audio coming out of the browser. So it's going to go out to my sound ID reference application, and it'll correct for my room and everything. You can also just set it to a built-in speaker or a built-in output or straight to your audio interface. It doesn't matter. Rarely do you need to choose Sessionwire Receive plugin. Sessionwire Receive plugin would be used if you wanted to record somebody's voice that's, somebody's doing something in Sessionwire Studio, somebody's sending HQ audio in, and you want to capture it in your DAW, you would use the Receive plugin for that. We'll get to that in a bit. So right now we're just streaming to Ableton. So we'll flip back to Ableton here. And on this main channel, I have inserted the Sessionwire Send plugin. Here it is. Oh, I think I botched the UI there. There we go. So this is the Sessionwire Send plugin. It has a trim knob on it. It has a bypass switch. Bypass on meaning not passing audio to Sessionwire, and bypass off meaning it will pass audio. And I'm going to hit play. We'll see meters here, and we'll see meters in Sessionwire. And you should also be able to hear what's going on in this session. So here we go.
What I need couldn't get here faster. Chase my dreams just to wake up after.
Okay, so this is just an Ableton demo session. I had nothing to do with its composition, but we're going to check out a few things that are possible with Sessionwire when you're working like this. We saw meters in the plugin. I'm going to flip over to Sessionwire this time, and we'll check the meters out there. Obviously, this session is really hot, so we've got this. Don't know what this is here. Actually, some sort of compressor plugin. It's got some makeup gain on it. It's got a threshold, and really, what I would like to do is put a limiter right before that, so it doesn't clip going into the Sessionwire plugin. So let's see if we can find a limiter here with our. Yeah, hey, Ragged Rec, nice to see you. I'm going to go on a compressor. No, I'm not. I'm going to go on a limiter. And we're going to try a low latency limiter. We'll just see what happens here. So the ceiling, great. We're going to bring that down to -1 because that's just what I like. This is all fine, auto, whatever. So this is just making sure that it doesn't clip going into the Sessionwire Send plugin. And we can see that we're getting signal into the stereo meters there. So there we go. We've got signal going into Sessionwire. So anybody in my Sessionwire Studio will be able to hear what I'm hearing on my machine. And that's happening just with this plugin right here, this Send plugin that's on my main fader. So really, really easy way to set up to do a mix review. Somebody wants to drop in and make comments on what I'm working on for them. They can do that. Let's see if we can actually connect. I'm going to go in here. This is how you invite somebody to your studio. Click the little invite button down at the bottom, and you can choose the type of link that you want to create. Now, there are two types. There's a guest link, and there's an audience link. Guest link would bring somebody into my studio so that I can see and hear them. Audience link would bring them into my studio so they can just watch and listen to what I'm doing. Ragged, yeah, use it all the time for that purpose. Amazing. That's excellent. You're going to have to remind me who you are. It's not clicking right now. But you can shoot me an email after if you don't want to put your name in the chat. So we're going to invite myself to the session. So I can create a guest link. We're going to go copy invite link. And I'm going to just basically open this in an incognito tab, and we'll see if we can do a quick test back and forth here. Great, good. And we're going to set. Yeah, I'm going to set this up like that. and this is going to be named test. So there we go. So somebody's joining my studio, and I see them up here. I'm getting a little ringtone. I'm going to click accept, and here we are. I can hear myself coming back through here, so I'm just going to change this quickly. There we go. So now I've got a guest in my studio. We see a few more options down at the bottom here. Oh, Shane, of course. My goodness, it's been a while. Good to see you. So now I've got a guest in here. Hello, guest on another computer. And we've got some more options down at the bottom. One being that the mixer panel has now expanded to see that, to show this auto mute panel. So if we wanted to only hear what Brendan, myself, is playing from his Ableton session, we can turn auto mute on or enable it and set a threshold here. This is the mute threshold. So if we see audio go over that threshold, it's going to mute all of the microphones in the Sessionwire Studio for everybody. So if there's 50 people in here with open microphones, it'll shut them all off. And all we'll hear is the HQ audio in the HQ audio bus. The green threshold is the unmute threshold. So that audio rises above the orange, it mutes. If it falls back below the green, it's going to unmute everybody's microphones in the studio. So we'll flip over to Ableton really quick, and let's see what we can do here. So there you have it. You can see the little microphones turned red as soon as that audio rose above the orange threshold, which means it muted our microphones. So we could both be listening on speakers, full blast in our studio that we know really well, using room correction and listening to the other person's work live, unprocessed, if you will. Couple other options that appear down here. There's a record button, so the host can record the call. It records the video panes and the talkback streams to a file. It's a WebM file, and then it records all the HQ audio to a separate WAV file that you can then import into an editor and chop together your sessions, make some content. We have studio chat down here. We can chat with anybody in the studio. I just sent Test a message, and he can send a message back. Just like that. We can see that in my studio, because I work at Sessionwire, we can have up to 1,000 people in here. There are 2 of us in here at the moment. I can direct message anybody in this. If I wanted to direct message Test without everyone seeing the messages, we can do that over here as well. I can make Test an audience member, which means I would kick them out into a watch only mode, where they could just watch what I'm doing. So this is great for webinars and master classes and things like that. Or I can make them a moderator, and they can bring people in and out in the same way that I can as the host. Shane, is call record new? Yeah, so it's been around for a little while in some form or another. It's still in kind of a rudimentary stage. The recording, like I said, is split into 2 separate files, a WebM file and a WAV file. This is kind of an interim stage. We're working on a couple of features, including storage, that will see that change in the near future. You'll be able to record it to one MP4 file. We can set it up to do basically anything that our members demand. So if you have some form of call record that you'd like to see happen, a format, a file format, a layout of the video panes, what do you want in that feature? We want to hear that, so let me know. You know how to get a hold of me. Yeah, thinking about podcast idea. That's right. So podcasting is a use case. Some of our members use Sessionwire for. Personally, I record the audio to a DAW like Ableton. So I'll take the HQ audio stream. I'll have all of the guests set up their microphones so that they're feeding the HQ audio stream, and we're shutting off the talkback stream. And so it's all unprocessed. Everybody's microphone coming into my DAW so that I can then chop up the audio and edit it directly in there. But if you're doing like a vlog cast type thing, then it's a bit of a different situation, and we might have some things coming down the pipe for that. bearing in mind that, Sessionwire was not necessarily built for podcasting. It's built to have a virtual studio in the clouds. And we understand you can do podcasts in a studio, but some of those podcast unique features might be a little ways. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you could stop using Riverside. I hear Riverside's great. I mean, for podcasting, it's excellent. I just, I think a lot of us, like yourself, we do more than just podcast. So being able to facilitate all of those kind of use cases in Sessionwire would be ideal. Also, I realize we're looking at, like 4 of me or 3 of me right now, so I'll get rid of that. A couple other things. Once you have somebody in your studio with you, so I, myself, Brendan Lyons, have Test in my studio with me, I now can see that I have a waiting room. So once one person has joined your studio and more people go to join, they'll hop in your waiting room and you can admit them one by one, or you can click auto admit to on, and they'll automatically join your studio without you having to approve them. So, obviously some danger there. If somebody has the link to your studio, you just want to make sure that it's just your friends that have your link, or you send out password protected links, which we can chat about really quick here. Streamlined one-stop shop. Yep, that's the whole goal. That's exactly what I want to hear. We are constantly working on things. We've got a couple of amazing features coming, particularly to help producers operate their hapless. They're technologically, I don't know what somebody said a word the other day. Technologically illiterate artists run their sessions from home. So keep an eye out for that. We were going to talk about, lost my train of thought. Oh yes, the password protected links. So, yeah, Luddites. Yeah, try to be a little less harsh. Yeah, don't want to lose those clients. So here we go. We're going to look at the invite tab again. So you can either press the invite button here or up in the left-hand menu if you have an account. They both open this little pop-up. And if we click the advanced option drop-down, we're shown some advanced options. You can create a guest link or an audience link. It doesn't matter either way. That is password protected. So if I wanted to send a link to, let's say, 30 people that I'm going to be conducting a webinar for, and this is going to be covered more in a live stream next week, but I want to invite people to a live stream that I'm hosting. I'm going to create an audience link, which is going to invite them into my studio, but they'll only be able to watch and listen to what I'm doing and chat with me in the studio chat, the in-studio chat. We're going to create a password. I'm going to call it test. I'm just going to call it test. Audience link. I'm going to put a start time. So this start time is going to be whenever this webinar is. So let's say that it's going to be tomorrow at 1 p.m. and it's going to end tomorrow at 3 p.m. Okay, this is going to create a link that is password protected and that only works between 1 p.m. and 3 p.m. my time. Okay, there's a little I here. The link will not be valid until this date and time. If left unset, the link will be valid immediately. So if you don't set a start and expiry time, that link will last forever, that password protected link. If you set a start and expiry time, that link will only work in that window. Okay? We're going to go copy invite link, and we'll just flip over to the chat here. I'll pop it in here. So this link right here will only work once in that window. I mean, it'll work for multiple people, but it'll only work in that window of time and if you know the password. So that's pretty cool, I think. And we'll get into that more next week when we talk about how to actually set up a live stream, like a webinar, in Sessionwire Studio that you can charge people tickets for, make money on, and basically run a masterclass business which I think is pretty cool. We'll get into that later. So getting back to Ableton, we're going to check a couple other options, a couple other ways of routing audio out. Get rid of my double face here. I don't think we need to see any more of that. Just kidding. I'll put myself down here. Okay, so here we are back in Ableton. We have it set up so that I'm streaming audio out to my Sessionwire Studio so that other people can hear it. That's awesome. What if I wanted to use a microphone that wasn't plugged into channel 1? It's plugged into some other channel in my audio interface. That can be a problem. So in Sessionwire, we can't just simply select the audio interface and get the signal from a microphone that's not plugged into channel 1. That's just not how these kinds of apps work at the moment. That's not how our app works at the moment. This app picks up channels 1 and 2 of whatever you select. So try to have your microphone plugged into channel 1, but if you don't, there's an option to route all of that talkback audio, this microphone, in through Ableton and to get it into Sessionwire. So let's check that out. I've created an audio track here. I'm going to flip to this view. I just find it's a little bit easier to look at the routing. So I've created an audio track. You can create it with, I think it's Command T. Yeah, Command T creates an audio track. I've turned it orange. If you right click on it, you can turn it orange. I like to label all of my Sessionwire tracks. I like to color them orange. And I've labeled it Sessionwire Talkback Send, SWTB Send. On this audio track, I've gone and found the Sessionwire Talkback Send plugin. So again, if you go into this little filtered menu, we go into Sessionwire, we'll see there's a whole selection of plugins. I've chosen the Talkback Send plugin, and it looks like this. Meters, there's a trim as well to trim the outgoing audio, and there's also an auto mute built directly into this plugin. So unlike the auto mute in the actual Sessionwire app, which is triggered by HQ Audio level, this auto mute is triggered by playback state in the DAW. So if I hit play, it's going to mute the talkback like that. My talkback going wherever it goes, it's going to mute it directly at the plugin. Okay, so you can choose which auto mute you want to use. I'm just going to turn this off. I'm not going to use that auto mute for the purpose of this session. We'll flip back to this channel now that we've got that plugin on here. I'm going to go in the audio from menu. I'm going to choose external in, which is going to mean it's going to grab audio from the external device that I've chosen as my input device. And I'm going to go in here and choose the channel that my microphone is plugged into. Now, I need to turn on all of my mono inputs here because I think my microphone is plugged into a channel way up in the 20s. So external in, and right underneath I have the option to choose all of these other devices. And I see way down here, I can see my voice popping up on channel 21. If I tap on the mic, we see it's 21. So channel 21, I'm going to flip it to in, as in monitoring is in. It's not in auto because I don't want to record arm this track. I'm going to put it on in so it's constantly monitoring. And I'm going to change the audio to, instead of it being sent to main, which would be a problem. It starts all kind of echo issues. I'm going to change audio to sends only. So it's just going to send it off into nowhere. Just goes off to nowhere because I'm picking that audio off this audio track with this Talkback Send plugin. And I'm going to go over to Sessionwire and I'm going to change the microphone to be the Sessionwire Talkback Send plugin. And now we can still see the metering here because I'm successfully getting my voice into this plugin via this channel right here. Okay, so if you have questions about that, pop them in the chat, please. As much as I love to ramble on about things, if you have questions, more than happy to answer. So that's how we get TalkBack from Ableton into a Sessionwire Studio using the TalkBack Send plugin. Okay, this trim knob, it'll trim the level of my voice or whatever the TalkBack stream, whatever the TalkBack Send plugin is sending into the studio. It's going to trim that so you're not clipping going into Sessionwire. I mean, obviously it's good to have proper gain staging. Make sure that your microphone isn't clipping at the preamp. Just FYI. No questions so far. This is excellent. I'm just going to flip over to Facebook to see how we're doing. Just getting back into the swing of hosting these things. Go to link. Perfect. Looks good. Yeah, great. Sorry, this is off Ableton. Have you tried routing options with Omnibus? Omnibus being Audio Movers Omnibus. I think that's what you're referring to. I have not, but I have used Loopback extensively, and I'm almost positive, I don't want to, not going on the record at all, but I'm almost positive Omnibus is a rebranded, white-labeled version of Loopback. Again, I'm not going on the record saying that because that's kind of defamatory, maybe, in a way. But Omnibus looks amazing. It looks great. I just happened to get into Loopback years and years ago. So Loopback being this basically creates and removes audio drivers on your machine on demand, and you can route audio anywhere from anywhere to anywhere really easily. So I have a bunch of little devices that I use to, for example, capture the output of a browser. I can capture that anywhere that I'd like. I can take a microphone. Actually, this is more with Audio Hijack. I can take a microphone and send it through processing and then send it into Sessionwire pretty easily. So, yeah, Omnibus looks cool. I haven't tried it personally, but Loopback is just as powerful. And I think it's a little bit easier to understand just in my first glance at Omnibus. Let's check out how to get audio into Ableton from somewhere else. I'm going to do this from scratch, so I'm going to delete these things. We're going to pretend that somebody is streaming me some audio, and I want to capture it in my Ableton session. So we're going to go over to our buddy's computer here, test, and test is going to... I just got to make sure I don't cross some wires here. Okay, so here's the first step. As the studio owner, the host, I'm going to enable Test's HQ audio stream by clicking this button above their stereo meters. So now they're able to stream HQ audio into my Sessionwire Studio so that everybody else can hear it. And again, they don't necessarily need a Sessionwire account to even do this. You can just send them your link, they'll join you in your studio, and you can enable their HQ audio stream for them to stream whatever they're set up to stream in to you. So I'm going to attempt to get our test over here to play some audio. Obviously don't want any copyright issues here, so this video is not going to be monetized anyways. So I've got test set up over here to stream some audio in. We'll see if we can hear it. Okay, so we've got audio coming from test. We see his meters moving. Hopefully you could hear that. If not, that's not a problem. We're just going to look at the signal flow here, and you would be able to hear it if you were in the studio with me, but just got to make sure I've got OBS set up correctly for next time here. Let's have a look at live. So we've got all of these audio tracks here. I'm going to kind of make them a little bit narrower so we can work here. We're going to create a return track. So we're going to go create return, which is Alt-Command-T, or Option-Command-T, I should say. Option Command T, it creates a return track. And the reason we're going to create a return track is because I don't need an input on this. I'm just going to put a receive plugin on here so that we can bring the audio from somebody else into Ableton. The banjo is banjoing. Yes. FYI, that's an album by an incredible artist here locally named Elliot. Oh, dear. I've forgotten his last name. It's rude. Elliot Thomas. That's right. Elliot Thomas. The album's called Through the Darkness and the Cold. And it's one of my favorite albums ever. So here we go. We've got our return track. We're going to label this Sessionwire HQ Receive. So this is where we're going to have audio come from Sessionwire and appear in Ableton. On this return, I'm going to find the Sessionwire Receive plugin, not the TalkBack Receive, the Receive plugin. And I'm going to insert it here. Now, if we hop over to Sessionwire, I'm going to change my Receive, or my HQ Audio destination, to be the Receive plugin. So that's going to take that audio that Test is sending into the studio, and instead of routing it straight out to my system, like it is here to Sound ID reference, it's going to route it to the Receive plugin, which is in this session. So we'll see meters here, we'll see meters here, and we're going to notice a problem pretty quickly. So let's check this out. Okay. What is the problem? The problem is that we're hearing all kinds of echo. So specifically, Test would be hearing an echo of whatever they're playing to me. That's because we're taking whatever's coming in this Receive plugin down this channel and we're routing it back to main. And main, if you recall, has the send plugin on it. So we're taking that audio that's being received and sending it right back into the Sessionwire Studio. So everybody's going to hear an echo of whatever Test is playing. So that's a pretty easy fix. We're going to take this channel, and instead of routing things to main, we're going to go to external out. And 1 and 2 is where my speakers are plugged into. And if we hit play, or if Test hits play again, we're going to see that signal come in. And this time there should be no echo. We're just going to hear whatever they're streaming into my Ableton session.
You push flesh and blood from marrow till it's time to fade again. And you walk along the...
Yeah, there we go. So we're successfully receiving that audio here. What if I wanted to record it? The possibility, right? We're going to create an audio track. We're going to rename this Sessionwire Record. And usually what I do is I only have one track that I'm going to record anything from a Sessionwire Studio onto, kind of like an ADR session, and I'll take that take and drag it down onto another track, which we'll get to in a second. But we're going to go from audio from, we're going to change, instead of external in, we're going to go down and we're going to find our Sessionwire HQ Receive. And this is going to be pre-mixer, or sorry, pre-effects, I think. No, post-effects, because it needs to be after the send plugin. And we're going to record arm that, and we'll flip over to this view, find a little spot. And if I hit record and Test hits play, we should be able to record that signal right here.
Threshold in your head. You think maybe tomorrow, maybe tomorrow.
There we go. We have it recorded in here. Amazing. Now if we hit play,
Threshold in your head. You think maybe...
yeah, seems to be working just fine. That is how we record remote audio into our Ableton session. So now, you know, of course, it's important to just be aware of how you're monitoring what's being recorded here. So right now, can Test send you multiple tracks? feed drums. Can test send you multiple tracks. Just clarify what you're asking there. I'm sure I can answer it. I just don't want to answer incorrectly. For example, drum tracks. Yeah, just clarify that if you can for me, and I will answer that. Just want to finish up this thought about monitoring here. Something to be aware of, if you're monitoring what's coming in through this external out 1 and 2, you need to have this monitor set to off. Otherwise, you're going to hear it twice. You'll hear it through this track and this one. The other option here is to set the main audio to sends only, so it goes off to nowhere. You record it, and then after you're done recording that take, create another track, take that take and drag it down onto this track, which then would be a playback track. So we do like a playback 1. So this is like an ADR type workflow where you'll take that track, drag it onto a playback track, and then you can play it and stream that back to everybody in the studio. Okay. Everybody good so far? Can test send you multiple tracks? Because of the guy that I named him Test, I understand. It just didn't click in my brain. Can Test send you multiple tracks, for example, drum tracks? So live streaming, like streaming through the HQ audio stream, currently is stereo only. We have plans for multi-channel streaming. What you'll find, at least what I find in my experience when recording tracks for clients, is that I want to do the recording on the performing side of the call, which is on my side. So I'm multi-tracking everything and just streaming my client a stereo mix from my session and then sending all of the multiple tracks after the fact. That way I know everything's being recorded perfectly on my side. The internet can't get in the way. There can't be a dropout, cut off audio for whatever reason. But there is a cool kind of feature in Sessionwire here where we've got 2 people here. Let's say that I recorded some tracks for test. I'll just go into a little finder thing here. I'll see if I can find let's do it off screen here for a second. I'll find a little audio file. I think I do have like a drum test session here. And let's say that I wanted to send test a overhead file, or even like, all of the stems. If I wanted to send them all of these stems, I would compress them down to one file and send them. Just for the sake of examples, though, I've got a kick-in mic. I want to send it to test. I'm just going to drag this right onto his face, and it's going to send it to him through Sessionwire. He's going to accept. We'll see a little thing flash up here saying the transfer is started. And this sets up a separate file transfer behind what's actually happening in the Sessionwire Studio. So it's a direct peer-to-peer transfer, extremely secure, no security issues. Test would save that file and import it into his session, and there you go. That's how a typical overdub session works, at least when I do them for my clients. I'll send them all the multi-tracks, either in the Sessionwire Studio using the file transfer feature, or after the fact with WeTransfer or pCloud or something like that. Just check the comments here really quick. We've got a few watchers here. If you're watching the stream, please drop a little hello in the chat and where you're watching from. And let me know if you want to try Sessionwire. If you haven't seen Sessionwire before, let me know if you want to try it. We offer a 14-day free trial on sign up. No credit card information needed. You just create an account and you automatically start a 14-day free trial of our studio level features. If you need longer, let me know. Happy to help you out. If you need help getting set up, some people have quite complex studios, large analog consoles and the like. Happy to help you get set up with that as well. Moving along here, let's go back to Ableton. So we've got the ability to send out our talkback audio, which is great. We've got the ability to receive the HQ audio, which is also great. If we wanted to receive the talkback audio into the session, it's very similar to this HQ audio receive. We would just create a new return track, Oops, that's the wrong keyboard shortcut. That was for MIDI. We're going to create a new return. We're going to label it Sessionwire Talkback Receive. I like to turn it orange. We're going to go and find the Talkback Receive plugin. This is the Sessionwire Talkback Receive plugin. Put it on this return. We're going to change the main audio to, or sorry, the audio 2 to external out 1 and 2. So again, we're bypassing the mains here because you can have effects on your main channel that process what's happening in your studio or in your session. And then all we need to do is flip back over to Sessionwire and change the speaker option in the talkback menu to the Sessionwire Talkback Receive plugin. So now if test were to talk, it would come straight into my Ableton session. How would you recommend setting up a 2-computer setup, one for DAW, one for a Sessionwire call? MacBook sits idle on the desk most days when using your DAW Mac. Yeah, that's a great question. I'm just going to flip back here and change this. I'm getting some noise from my other machine here. Great, that's good. So what I would recommend is this. Let's see here. It depends. So simplest way to do this. Your laptop has a built-in webcam. It's got a built-in microphone, which is great. That's good enough for getting your visual and your talkback into Sessionwire. So I would set your talkback microphone to the built-in microphone, MacBook Pro microphone. That's good enough for talkback in most cases. I would set the camera to your webcam. And then the HQ audio and how you're hearing the talkback is where it gets to be a little interesting. So what I would do is I'd get a little 2-channel audio interface, like a Focusrite Sapphire, something like that. You would run the output of your DAW computer. You'd take you could set up a Q mix, or you could set up the routing so you're taking your whole mix straight out of your DAW, out of a stereo output into that Focusrite. Then you would set the HQ audio source to be the Focusrite. So you're bringing your DAW audio out of your main machine into the Focusrite into the Sessionwire Studio. And then all of the audio coming out of the Sessionwire Studio, you would either decide if you want to hear that through your Pro Tools or your DAW computer, or if you're just happy hearing it coming out of your MacBook speakers. If you want to hear it come out of your main machine, you'd set all of your destinations, like your HQ audio destination, to the Focusrite, set the speaker to your Focusrite, and then all of this Sessionwire Studio audio will end up back on your main machine where you can do whatever you want with it. You can route it into Pro Tools using something like Loopback or Omnibus. You could just route it straight out of a separate set of speakers. It's totally up to you. So you just need to decide where you want to hear the Sessionwire Studio audio. Your audio going into Sessionwire is easy. That's a Focusrite Sapphire 2-channel audio interface. Take the output of your rig, run it into the 2 inputs of that. Set the HQ source as your Focusrite. This is kind of given me an idea of kind of creating a little diagram of this. I've had a couple people ask about this, and there's a few ways to do it. I think that was probably the easiest and the most reliable. Any other questions from anybody? All right. We've got a few people watching yet. Make sure you say hi in the comments below. We're going to be doing a special event next week with our partners at Plugin Alliance. Keep an eye out for that. Hosting a little bit of a plugin demonstration in a Sessionwire Studio. It's very much it's a new thing for us. We're very excited to be able to facilitate this for them. Lots of new features coming. If you don't know about it yet, you can find us in audio retailers like Sweetwater and Vintage King and others like that very soon. So go and check out your local music dealer. You might find us there. We're going to be hosting more of these more often. Next week, like I mentioned, is going to be focused on hosting masterclasses, how to actually put on a successful masterclass in Sessionwire. And that includes creating an event for it, managing tickets, setting ticket prices, creating event pages. We'll go through the whole setup process next week. The week after, I haven't decided yet, but I have a feeling that there are some Logic users out there that would like to see how Logic works with Sessionwire. So I think that's what we'll do the week after next. It'll be about how to use Sessionwire alongside Logic. Coming up to the top of the hour here. I'll leave this live for a couple of more minutes. I'll check Facebook again. All right. If nobody has any more questions, it's been a pleasure hosting this first live back. You can expect, like I said, plenty more of these. Some of them maybe even featuring some very well-known friends of ours. We might have some little, coffee sessions on here talking about anything under the sun. We might have some mix breakdowns. We might have some plugin demonstrations. You never know. So some of these events will be exclusive to Sessionwire Studio subscribers. So make sure, if you haven't, go check out our subscription offerings. Sessionwire Studio at the moment comes with a PureMix Pro subscription. So if you have a Sessionwire Studio subscription, make sure you head over to PureMix and log in with your Sessionwire credentials. You get access to PureMix Pro. So it's dozens and dozens of amazing mix breakdown videos, access to their live streams. There's a suite of plugins, including a service called MixUp, which is fantastic. It's a mix approval, an offline mix approval platform. So be sure to check them out as well. We love our friends at PureMix, and keep an eye out for future live streams. Thanks for joining, Ragged. Great to hear from you again. I should say, Shane, thanks for joining again. And thanks, Frederick, for all your comments. These are meant to be interactive, so if you see us online again in the future, be sure to hop in the comment section and say hello. Always love hearing from new people. So thank you again. Enjoy the rest of your days, and we'll see you on a live stream soon.